Well, the question is, has that time bomb really been defused? The National Parole Board is convinced that it has, and that Denis Lortie is no longer a danger to society. Serge Laverly is the Quebec director of the National Parole Board, and he joins us tonight from Montreal. Mr. Laverly, as recently as last April, just a few months ago, the Parole Board rejected Mr. Lortie's claim or appeal for parole. What has happened between April and now to change everybody's mind?
Well, it's a bit hard to say that it has changed everybody's mind. Mr. Lortie has been through a very gradual program that started in a maximum security facility. Then he was transferred to a medium security facility, afterwards to a minimum security facility. He first received escorted passes, which are passes for some hours, which are escorted. After that, he received unescorted passes, and those passes were extended up to 72 hours a month. And after that, at one point of time, looking at the progress he has made, looking again at all the assessments that have been made, the parole board has considered that the time had come to release Mr. Lortie under a close day parole program.
All right, well, last April he was told, Mr. Lortie was told by the parole board that he was, quote, not fully aware of the wrong he had caused. So is it your assessment that he now is, and that that is a guarantee or at least an assurance that he won't offend again?
It is the impression of the board that Mr. Lortie has benefited fully of the programs that have been offered to him, that he has benefited of the treatments that have been offered to him.
But I guess what I'm looking for is the underlying philosophy. If he is now, quote, fully aware of the wrong that he caused society, is that good enough? Is that it? Is remorse enough?
No, I don't think so, Pamela. If you had an opportunity to look at the decision of the National Parole Board, it is a 15-page long decision, and it does not just say that Mr. Lortie fully understands. It is a review of where he came from, what kind of individual he was when he was sentenced to penitentiary. It is a review of all the assessments that have been done in this case, of all the follow-up psychological, criminological follow-ups that have been made in this case. All the progress that he has made is taken into consideration, as well as the point of view of the police, the victims, and so on. It is a very thorough review of all this situation. I would not say that just one point is the explanation.
When all is said and done, Mr. Laverly, is this really a gamble, a bit of a roll of the dice, that you do the assessments as best you can, you look at the changes exhibited by Mr. Lortie, and then you say, let's give it a try?
By any stretch of the imagination, I wouldn't call it a roll of dice at all. It is a thorough assessment of risk and taking into consideration that the paramount factor that the board has to take into consideration is the protection of society. Mr. Lortie is released on a day parole program because the board is satisfied that he has changed enough, that he has reduced the risk to a level that can allow the board to release him to the community.
How do you try and protect people or prevent Mr. Lortie from being exposed to the kind of triggers that may have triggered him in May of 1984? The PQ are again in power. Here's a man with a criminal record. It may be tough for him to get a job. These things can put a lot of stress and strain on an individual.
This is something that has been taken into consideration by the board, but I have to remind you that the type of release that has been given to Mr. Lortie at this point in time is not a full parole. It is a day parole program. Mr. Lortie will live in a halfway house, which is a facility where other day parolees live. He'll be allowed to go out during the day, to look for a job, to attend courses if he wishes to go with his new family as well. But he'll have to return every night. He'll have to sleep at the halfway house. He's going to be on a daily contact with professionals that are trained and skilled and that can assess his behavior in society. But should he fail to respect the conditions, he can be brought back to penitentiary.
I guess that's precisely the point, though, Mr. Lavallee. Should he fail, which means should he commit again? I don't think anybody envies your job.
No, I'm sorry. That's not what I said. Mr. Lartey has been given a day parole, which bears regular conditions and additional conditions as well. I'm not implying in any way, shape, or form that the supervisor will wait for Mr. Lartey to commit another crime. That's not the route I want to discuss at all. Mr. Lartey has conditions. He has to report on a daily basis, and the professionals that are going to be supervising him can assess the risk to the public and can intervene prior to any new crime.
And what do you say tonight, Mr. Lavallee, to the families of the victims of the events in 1984 who are saying this is not punishment that befitting the crime, that they are nervous that he is back out? There are concerns even from his own family.
I can assure those persons that the conditions on Mr. Lartey are such that he cannot go to his previous family, he cannot go to the National Assembly, he cannot go to a lot of places and bother persons without breaking his parole conditions, and he does not intend to anyways.
What do you think?
What I think?
Yeah, do you think this is, you know, that he will not offend again? Do you think the people in the neighborhood are safe?
It's more than think, Pamela. The board is satisfied that the release of Mr. Lartey is not an undue risk to society. It's more than think. We're satisfied that it is the good move to do at this point of time because we've reviewed the file very carefully. We have 8 psychiatric, it's 7 psychiatric assessment, 2 psychological assessment, 8 psychological follow-up reports on Mr. Lartey. In addition to that, we have regular reports from social workers and criminologists involved with him on a regular basis in penitentiary. The board has not taken lightly the decision to release Mr. Lartey. The board has fulfilled his legal mandate, and we're convinced that Mr. Lartey can respect all the conditions of his day parole.
Mr. Lavallee, thank you very much for talking with us tonight.
It's been my pleasure.
Serge Lavallee is the head of the National Parole Board in Quebec. Please stay with us now when Primetime returns conflicting views on whether a killer can really be rehabilitated.